Hello, 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 and happy Sunday. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you guys had a great week. I had a great week. And again, I'm thankful for this weather. Yesterday was still feeling a little like summer, but I can deal with that. It was still very pleasant. Well, we're back to our third episode, and I thought it was be really good idea to kind of wrap up this how to build a village or a community regarding parenting, right? And so this is part three. My name is Antoinette, and I'm the host. I'm thankful that you are joining me tonight. And I don't think this is going to be a long episode. I mean, well, they're usually not that long, but I do want to kind of just add on a few more things to how to build a village or a community around parenting. So, just to kind of give you a recap, the first episode I talked about just laying like a groundwork, a foundation for how do you do that. And I emphasized a few things and I'll just repeat them. One, prayer. Prayer is essential. And it's essential because being connected to God and having His input and having Him guide us in our life is necessary. It is a must. And so oftentimes, I know for me, try to do everything on my own, try to be strong, try to, do things and, just, kind of get in there and start grinding and working. But you need help. You need input. You need support. You need encouragement. You need someone to say, "Hey, can I help you with that?" You need someone to check in to make sure that you're okay, right? And so, building that community is important, and having the right people in your corner and in your community is important. So, the first thing I started off was with prayer. Like I said, just having that dialogue with God. Lord, what do I do? How do I do it? When should I do it? Is this okay? Whatever it is, the smallest of things, we can always go to God in prayer. And we should always do that because that's what He wants, right? He wants relationship with us and He wants us to be able to depend on Him for those things and to come to Him and not feel apprehensive about that. The second thing I talked about was character, really assessing people's character as you begin to, add them to your community. And I talked about the community that I had in my church, which was a wonderful group of people. And the third thing I talked about is looking for people who are emotionally stable. And so if you go back to episode one, I go into these things in detail. Number four, I talked about shared values and beliefs. You really want a community of people who have a shared value and belief system. And I gave that example of, a lot of the online communities, be it finances, coaching, um, ministries of any sort, are people who have a common thread, and it's usually values or beliefs of a certain mindset. And so, as parents, you want that community of people who have those shared values like you do in that community, in your community. And then I talked about, nurturing and other characteristics, being patient and kind. You want people who have this capacity, like yourself, who are an extension of you, basically. And then I shared a little bit again about my experience with having that community, what it looked like, and how supportive it was, and how my daughter was always able to have good relationships, get advice, whatever, even from when she was young up until even now as a young adult. And then in part two, I talked a little bit more about you know, having your child play a role in helping you to uh to have a say rather in, the people that are in the community, right? Getting their thoughts on it. And then I talked a little bit about how community changes. And then I talked about, us as parents allowing this same community to be a support, emotional support for us. So that, ideally, if you need to be checked, if maybe there was something that you did or didn't do or said or didn't say, that community should be able to check you. They should be able to say, hey, you know what? You could have done that a little differently, right? So I talked a little bit about that. And then I talked about if you are dating, and I shared my experience with dating and having that significant other play a role in that community and how that can happen. And of course, these things are general. So there is a lot of room to expand on them. And if there is something that I asked, if there was something that you yourself as a parent has found to have worked for you in building a community, to please share that. You can drop it in the chat or you can email it or you can post it on our social media. That would be greatly appreciated because I'm pretty sure I gave you some examples, but I know there may be others. And I want to just be inclusive of that, inclusive of adding other people's, types of community and the way they establish those communities and, and share them with our community, our Facebook community, our YouTube community. So today I wanted to do a part three, and it's three specific things that I want to touch on. And that is building community around adolescence. So we know adolescence is that time, like right after childhood comes this middle ground area that is right before adulthood. And that's basically what adolescence is. And I don't have to go in too much about that, but it is a very transitional time. So it's a lot going on physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, right? And there's a lot of expectations and demands. So if you have adolescents, if you have, and I'm saying roughly the ages from 12 to, I would say 18, 21, I'll max it at 21. You want to make sure that the community around your adolescence is a very good, solid community. They need a lot of encouragement, and sometimes they need a lot of support. And sometimes, in most cases, they look, well, I'm going to say in most cases, they look outside of the family for a lot of that support. And that's normal. That is typical for that age group to begin to look outside of the family because they are establishing their own value system, their own belief system. They are looking at the world in a very different way. They are exposed to the world in a very different way. And so, not listening, disregarding, taking unhealthy risk, um, challenging us, challenging boundaries, all of that is very commonplace. And it's not to be alarmed. It again falls into that natural stage of development. And so at this point in parenting, I mentioned this, I think, in an initial episode when I was, just sharing in general and just kind of putting, you know, just some information out there is that this is a time where you actually can come alongside of your adolescence, your teenager, and you're not friends with them. But the dynamics of your relationship has changed. They don't need you as much. And that's a good thing because they're learning independence. They're becoming autonomous. And so that is what we want. They're learning to think for themselves, to figure things out, problem solve, critical think, all of that. And so it's all happening very rapidly. Sometimes it can be a lot for them. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how they feel. You're getting the one word answers and so forth. So building community around adolescence is going to have to take a lot of strategic planning. You're going to have to be extremely patient and understanding, but you want people around them who they can feel free to talk to. This is something I will talk about later on, but if they are involved in relationships, how do they do that? If they are having sex, how do they do that? How do they have it in a safe way? How do they talk about it if they are ready to engage in that? And so you want people who, it's not so much that you can't do it. You can if you want to, if you feel comfortable, right? But you want to make sure you have other people in the community who they can talk with and who they can engage with on that level, whatever it is. Because you want them to feel comfortable. You want them to be able to ask questions and, get answers for things and without feeling, different things. And adolescents a lot of times are very apprehensive about talking with parents about things. So you want to make sure that that community that you have around them is a very good community, a solid community. Again, people who understand and they know you as a parent and your values and beliefs. So it can be youth ministry leaders, it could be teachers, guidance counselors within your child's school who they connect with, and anyone else who, again, they connect with, they feel comfortable with, that you have communication with. And I just wanted to emphasize that because sometimes adolescents can bring people, or they know or have started to build their own community. So it might be the basketball coach, it might be a manager at their job. They have a part time job after school. Maybe it's the manager there teaching them business skills or how to run a business. Maybe it's a guidance counselor or a social worker in the school, or maybe a school safety agent that they know that they can, talk to. It could be a number of people, and they will build their community of people who they trust, who they know, and they have a established relationship with, right? A relationship where they can feel comfortable, right? In talking and asking questions and things like that. So don't take it personal if they're not sharing with you a lot. It's okay. At some point, they will begin to share with you. And it might be some years later, but it's okay because, again, they're establishing that community. And if you know and have established relationships with people that they know, so you're still connected. And so it's not like they just have all of this influence over your child, but they should be respecting who you are and considering what you have to say in addition to, being a support for that adolescence. The next thing I want to just talk about is co-parenting. Now, if you are co-parenting and you and the other parent are not together, but you're co-parenting, I would encourage you to get to know the people that they have in their community. And you should ideally have a conversation with the other parent and say, hey, listen, I just wanted to talk to you about, the people that you know or are involved or have any kind of, relationship with our son or our daughter because, you know, I just want to check in. I want to know, are they okay or whatever? It's not that I don't trust your judgment. I don't, and I'm saying that respectfully. It could be a situation where you maybe you don't have that much trust, or you don't respect the judgment of that parent because of a number of reasons. So you just want to make sure that you connect with them and you get to know the people who they have around your child, who have influence, who they respect and they know, so that you can have an understanding of who's having influence, who's having, you know, interactions with your child on a regular basis. Get to know them. If you feel comfortable, share your contact information. Maybe you invite them every now and again to different events. So, just so that you can have a familiarity with this individual, you know who they are, get to know again their thoughts, the character assessment, their shared values and beliefs. And it might be people that you don't necessarily agree with, but again, can be good people. And again, allow your child to be a guide in that respect. And always be open to listen and to hear what they have to say. If they're, saying anything or if they act a particular way, you just want to make sure that you have that communication, with your child. And I think for the most part, I think that's pretty much it. I wanted to kind of emphasize just those couple of things because I thought, in addition to what I talked about before, specifically with adolescents, that may take a different community. And so you want to be strategic in how you do that. And you want to get to know the parents or the community of people that the other parent has around your child, because that, of course, is, different type of influence, different type of people or whatever. And you just want to make sure that, everything is okay. So that's it. I'll see you next week. I really don't believe it's going to be a part four, but I wanted to just share that. So please, if you have questions, if you want, again, share information, tips, about your community, how you build community, what worked for you, what didn't work, what, some things that people should look out for, et cetera, et cetera. Please email us. You can drop it in the chat. You can drop it on our social media, but you can also email us at the number one parenting after dark at gmail.com. I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay encouraged. You're doing a great job. And I'll see you next Sunday.